Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations and I'm Nova, and I'm so glad you decided to join me today. Today is Monday, so I hope you guys had a great weekend and you are ready and recharged for the week. I am excited because Pokemon, the new Pokemon game comes out on Friday. And next week is our Thanksgiving break because hubby works for the school system. I had to pull up the calendar because I was like, ooh, what day is everything on? So Friday, this Friday, which is the 18th, the new Pokemon game comes out. And I don't know if anyone knows anything about Pokemon, but they do two different versions every time they release a game. They always do two versions. So my husband is going to get Pokemon Scarlet and I'm getting Pokemon Violet. So I'm really excited for that. And then next week is Thanksgiving break, and it's also our anniversary and my birthday. So our wedding anniversary and my birthday are on the 23rd, which is Wednesday. And I believe, Alexa, when is Thanksgiving? Alexa, when is Thanksgiving?
The feast that we call Thanksgiving was first celebrated by the Pilgrims and members of the Wampanoag
Alexa,
tribe.
when is Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving Day is 10 days away, on Thursday, November 24th.
November 24th. Okay, so anniversary, birthday on Wednesday, Thanksgiving on Thursday. So next week's going to be a fun week. And anyways, let me know if you guys have anything cool going on. Are you doing anything fun for Thanksgiving? We're going to get together with some family and have a little Thanksgiving dinner. And hubby's gonna make mashed potatoes. I love it when he makes mashed potatoes. He does like a loaded mashed potato with like cream cheese and everything in there. So good. Super excited for that. But anyways, it is Monday, so I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Today I am here for a little bit of a request video. And that is going to be to talk about how to make the Hexagon Cardigan, which has a lot of names because a lot of people have made tutorials over it. It's also known as the Campfire Cardigan. I'm not sure about the differences, by the way. I'm sure everyone puts their own spin on them. But it's known as like quite a few things. But the Hexagon Cardigan, I think, is the most widely known name for it. And I was going to talk about my plus size modifications that I'm doing for mine, because some people have expressed interest, and specifically asked for, a video about what I'm doing for making mine plus size friendly. So, to start out, I wanted to, let you guys know that, the pattern that I watched a video tutorial for to get the basic idea and gist of everything I was doing was the Passionate Kelsey video, and I will post that in the description. I don't remember what her YouTube name is. I think it's Passionate Kelsey. But anyway, about it, her name is Kelsey. I found her from TikTok. And her name is like a little bit different on different platforms, but regardless, she does a great tutorial. Hers is not a plus size tutorial though, so I used it to get the general concept of everything, and it's a very well done tutorial for that. Walks you through and explains, you know, how to make your hexagons and how to connect your hexagons and all that good stuff. I haven't done my sleeves yet, or I haven't done my, you know, cinching in for my wrist yet, but I'm gonna work on that today and take you guys along for that. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing my wrists the way that she did hers in her tutorial, so I'm not gonna show you how I'm gonna do my wrists, but I am gonna take you along for cinching down a little bit because plus size people have bigger arms and our sleeves end up quite large. So, or can end up quite large. So I'm gonna scan this so that I can pop it up on the screen for you guys. But I've been working on a little diagram kind of what I'm doing. And I'm just pulling it up here for me, but I will pop it right here for you guys. So I'm gonna kind of sit to the side. So I'm trying to kind of color coordinate it and explain how I'm doing it with a picture. So, the purple, they look like little L shapes, or like little boxes with one box missing out of them. You'll notice there are two. So there's one on one side and it says Hexagon 1 above it, and then there's one on the other side that says Hexagon 2 above it. These are just the measurements that I have been working with, so obviously this is going to depend on what size you are. I am making one in a 5X, so that's kind of what my size, like inches and everything on here, are going to kind of lead to. But you'll notice that both of my hexagons were 22 inches. So I worked until my sides were 22 inches. So when you're working on the hexagon, it has 6 sides, and so each side is going to be the same amount of inches across. And if you want to know how to like fold it all up and seam it all together and all that, watch either the tutorial I'm going to pop in the description, or any tutorial or pattern that you prefer. There are a lot of them for this, so I'm just popping the one that I'm using down there. And then I'm talking about the modifications and plus size friendly things that I'm doing. So I continued working in the round on those pieces until I got to 22 inches. And then I went ahead and I seamed up the top, which is the top of the sleeve. And then I continued around. So you'll notice the orange part where it says 6 inches. And that is because what I did was I connected the top of the sleeve together, which creates that little kind of tube shape for your arm, and then like the front and the back panel of your cardigan. It's kind of difficult to explain without holding this up, but I know you guys are seeing it, but I'm going to hold it up anyways. So, I'm going to be really extra and I'm going to point with this. So you work up this part, you know, and then you seam it together up here. And then, so you've got this, your arm goes through here, and then here is like, you know, the front, and then the other side will be the back. Well, for the orange, what I did was, and I put little arrows to kind of show you're working in a continuous, like, round again. You don't have to, like, stop and turn or anything like that. So what I did was I worked around this part. And the thing about a drawing is it's only 2-dimensional, so you have to imagine that this also has the back side of it. So you can actually work down the front, down this side of the front, and then you're actually going to be working along what would be the back and up the back, and then it brings you back around, and you just keep doing that. So, and then you connect, obviously, slip stitch to the first stitch, and then chain, and continue. Just the normal way of working in the round. So, hopefully that makes sense. I'm talking as if, you already know about the pattern, because this isn't, I'm not trying to make a tutorial for the pattern of how to make a Granny Hexagon cardigan. I'm just talking about the plus size modifications. So I want to be thorough, but I'm also like, I'm not trying to explain how to make the cardigan. So then what I did is I went ahead and tied off and everything. And then the pink at the bottom is, oh, right. So, at that point, I went ahead and seamed up the back. So I've got my 2 sides, so ignore the pink at the bottom, we're not there yet. I've got my 2 sides that I completed, and then I worked around with the orange part, like in my diagram. I worked around until I got to about the width that I needed to make it fit the way that I wanted it to fit. From what I could tell anyways, and you can still add on to it after you connect it together. So I did about 6 inches on both sides. Well, I did 6 inches on both sides. You want to keep everything you do to one side, you want to make sure you do to the other side, because otherwise it's not going to come out shaped right. And then I seamed mine up the back. And then when you seam up the back with the pattern that I'm following, you actually add another row. So keep that in mind if you want to do like one less row on one side or something, and then that be the side that you're connecting with, just to keep it symmetrical. I don't think I did. I think I just added another row in the middle I think I did 6 inches on both sides, and then I just added the other row anyways, so technically a little not symmetrical, and seamed it up the back. So now I had my actual cardigan was formed, obviously not done, but you could put it on at this point and see how it's fitting. So then I added some length to the bottom. So the next thing that I did was I worked just at the bottom to add a little bit of length. And that's the cool thing about this cardigan, is it's really customizable. So you could make it as long or as short as you want. You could do a cropped and not add any length. You maybe wouldn't have even wanted to do when I added the 6 inches, because when I added that 6 inches, I was working around in that L shape, which also gave it a little bit of length. So if you're doing a cropped cardigan, you may not even want to work, you know, all the way around. You may just want to work the front panel. It's customizable that way, so that's pretty cool. So for this part, I just worked starting wherever you want, really, but working my way back and forth. So I would work from this side of the panel all the way around the back, and then it would lead me back to the front, and I would stop here, and then I would do a chain. I would do a turn chain, and I would just go back around, do a turn chain, go back around, and you can add as much length as you want there. So if you want to make it, you know, a super long cardigan, you want to make it like a duster, you can make it as long as you want to. It'd be very heavy because I'm doing mine double-stranded. And I actually think I went a little bit on the thick side. I had the idea that it would be like kind of like a winter jacket type of sweater, almost like something you throw on when you're going to go outside, basically, instead of a coat. I do think I went a little thick on the yarn. Maybe I should have went a little bit thinner. I double-stranded a 4-weight and a 3-weight together, and I think I should have just double-stranded 2 3-weights together. So, hey, you learn, you know. But I think it will be nice and warm for cold days if I'm, you know, throwing something on to be outside, or, you know, for while I'm outside, which was technically the concept anyway. So I'm just continuing it that way. But regardless, that was a little bit of a tangent. So add as much length as you want. And then the blue part that you see where I colored that in, it's not my edge yet. I haven't done my trimming around yet in single crochets. But what I did was I worked on a bit of a, I don't want to say like a border, but I kind of worked around like the entire shape that we now have. So I worked around what would be the front, down around the bottoms where, you know, the bottom of it is, around the back. That also included working around the neckline a little bit, which helped to shape it out a little bit, make it a little bit more rounder. But I also took this time to make it so that it went a little bit wider at the tummy area. So if you have a bigger tummy or anything like specifically, like if you have bigger boobs, whatever, you might want to adjust it, because otherwise you'll get to the front and maybe it fits perfectly everywhere, and then it gets to the tummy and it kind of, you know, goes out a little bit. So what I did was, when I went around a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I'm happy with the neck. I don't want to add any more to the neck at this point. So what I did was I took some stitch markers and I put them where I wanted them, and I'm just going to put them here for the purpose of kind of showing you. But let's just say I put them here. So then what I would do was I worked some rounds where when I got to my stitch markers, I actually would switch to single crochets. Yeah, I was trying to remember what I did. I did not turn when I got to them. What I did was I would do my granny clusters like normal, and then when I got to my stitch marker, I switched to single crochets, and I would single crochet the rest of the way until I got to my stitch marker again, and then I would switch back to granny clusters. And the reason I did this was just to give myself like another inch maybe on either side, but specifically not on the whole thing. I didn't need it, you know, at the neck and everything, where I would start to encroach upon having a like a collar forming or something, like a popped collar. I didn't want to expand on that part anymore because I had that how I wanted it pretty much. So I did that so that I could expand it just a little bit more so that it would meet at the tummy part perfectly, but also still maintain the size it was up here. So that's just what I did. There's probably, you know, there's probably fancy like ways to do that are like the way you're supposed to do that. That's just the way that I did it, and I don't know, I made that up, so I don't know if that's really the way you're supposed to do it, but that's what I did. And I'm explaining what I did. So at this point, because of the way that I'm doing this, if I decide I want to add on more length and stuff like that, I can still add on more length. I haven't done my trim yet. But I'm going to go ahead and switch to working on my sleeves. So what I'm doing is I'm continuing to work them down until I get fairly close to where I want them to be. And then I'm going to decrease just a little bit, and then I'm going to make a cuff. So the cuff is going to pull it all together and cinch it in at my wrist anyways. But I'm going to decrease just a little bit, for a couple of rows probably. Just so that it's not, you know, absolutely massive and then cinched in. But I do like the look of it being kind of bigger and then cinching in at the wrist. Because like I said, I was making this to be kind of like a coat style of cardigan, you know. So having it kind of bigger and then cinching in is what I want. But I'm going to show you how I plan to cinch in mine to make it like a little bit, the tube to get a little bit smaller. And you can start that earlier if you don't want yours to have such a big sleeve and then cinching it at the wrist. Also, you don't have to make a cuff. You can just leave them big and have them be that like big drapey style sleeve. Or you could do decreases and have them kind of get smaller until they get to the end and then not cinch in all the way with a cuff. So hopefully that was a good explanation of the rest of my sizing. If you have any questions, let me know. But I tried to explain it all, and like I said, I hope that the picture helps, because I was really thinking that a visual, and if I explain to you what the visual is, would be the best way to explain it. And I tried to like kind of color code it and everything to give you an idea. But I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my desk cam so that I can work on the sleeves and show you guys how I plan on decreasing my sleeves. So here is where I'm currently at with my sleeve. I have not started doing any decreases yet, and I've got a little bit of this round started. But in order to start thinking about my decreases, I'm going to count how many clusters currently go around. So I'm going to start with the one right in front of this one that I'm currently on, because I'm going to count the row that I just finished instead of the one that I've partially started. So I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then that puts me back where I started. So I currently have 15 stitches, or 15 clusters in each round. So you can figure out how many you have, and then basically you're just going to want to think about how many rows you want to decrease over. So this is going to depend on if you're going to start decreasing earlier on in your sleeve, or if, like me, you're waiting until the last few rounds to start decreasing and just to give a little bit of a decrease. So if you know that you want to steadily decrease throughout, then you can start this process earlier. And what you want to do is, since you know you have 15 stitches or however many you have, you think about what numbers that's divisible by, and then that'll give you kind of an idea of how to start decreasing. So another way that you can do it, you can either do it like, let's say, for example, 15 is divisible by 3 or 5, you know? So what we could do is every 5 stitches, we could do a decrease. Or you can do it like, okay, I'm going to do 2 decreases this round. There are 15 stitches, so let's just say every 7-ish stitches, I'll do a decrease. So you could do 2 decreases about 7 stitches apart in this round, and then that would give you 2 less clusters in the next round. So just kind of figure out, like, oh, you have to do a little bit of math, but not really. Just kind of feel it out. Decide how much of a decrease you want to do all at one time. And then this is the way that I'm going to do my decreases. So hopefully I kind of explained to you how you can figure out how you want to do yours, because we're all working with different numbers and have different goals. So I'm trying to make it adaptable, but also tell you what I'm doing, because like I said, this isn't a tutorial. This is just my way of making this a plus size friendly pattern. So the way that I'm going to do my decreases is, so the way that you normally do a cluster is you do 3 double crochets in one cluster, or in one gap, right? Like this. And then you end with having 3 stitches in this one stitch. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do my decreasing, and obviously you can do yours however you want, I'm just showing you the way that I'm doing mine because I was asked. But I'm thinking I'm going to do mine like this. So normally you have your 3 clusters in here, but for the decreases, I'm thinking I will do 1 double crochet, and then I'm going to do like half of a double crochet. So start like you're going to do the double crochet, yarn over once and pull through 2. And then instead of yarning over and pulling through these other 2, I'm thinking I will yarn over and go into this next stitch, then yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So basically like you would normally do a double crochet decrease, but I'm going to spread them out between the 2 cluster gaps. And then I'm just going to do another double crochet here, because that's kind of like doing 3. And it will kind of give the appearance of there being 2 in each one. But now, when I kind of spread it out, it sort of eliminates the little gap here. And I will just make sure that when I go to crochet around the next time, I don't put a cluster in between these 2. And it makes it so that there's not a gap that I'm skipping. They're going to be a little bit closer together because of the way that I worked these 2 stitches together. It kind of pulls them in a little bit. So I will go ahead and I'm going to double crochet, or I'm going to do my granny clusters the rest of the way around until I get about halfway, like the halfway mark. And then I'm going to do another decrease, so that I'm taking 2 stitches or 2 clusters away for the next round, if that makes sense. So that's how I'm going to do mine, and I will show you guys how this works up when I get back and I go back around again. Alright, so I just made my way back around and slip stitch to my first granny cluster, and now I'm chaining my 3 stitches to start my next round. So I ended on a decrease, decreasing 2 clusters together, and I put about 7 stitches in between each of those so that they're kind of spread out. And I'm just going to begin to work my next round, and I'm going to do the same thing in this round. So for this round, I'm going to work some decreases, and I'm going to try to space them out kind of evenly. So since I took 2 out of the last round because I did 2 decreases, that will mean I have 2 less clusters. So I should have 13 clusters this round. So want to put about 6 clusters in between each decrease. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 clusters, and then I'm going to do my decrease just so that my decreases aren't in the same spots as they were last time, because my other cluster, my first decrease is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my decrease over here just so that I don't end up in the same spot, because I don't want to. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 double crochet into the gap, and then I'm going to do a half of a double crochet, And then I'm going to go ahead and go to the next gap and do another half of a double crochet. And then I'm going to yarn over and go through all 3. And then I'm going to do another double crochet. And that's how I'm doing my decrease. Then I'm just going to continue around doing clusters, and I'm going to make sure when I get to those decreases that I did that I don't crochet in between the clusters that I closed up. So make sure you're mindful of that. So let me turn my work around. So sorry for the shaking camera. I just noticed that. Okay, so here is my work turned around. It's really difficult when you have the whole giant sweater attached to it to rotate it the way that you want to. Okay, so you'll notice that I've got the decrease coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a cluster as normal in this gap before the decrease from the last round. So there's my 3 double crochets, and then I am just going to make sure that I don't try to crochet in the middle there, and it actually it doesn't make you want to crochet in there, you know. It doesn't have that nice big gap that you're looking for. So hopefully you won't have the desire to, and you won't accidentally do it, but be mindful of the fact that you're going to have those decreases, so you don't want to crochet in the middle of there or you're not going to have a decrease. You're just going to have the same amount of stitches. So the decrease is more done in the following round when you don't crochet a cluster in between those. And then let me throw one more cluster in, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like so you can decide if that is how you want to do your decreases. Like I said, I don't know if there's a nicer way or, you know, a more considered the correct way. This is just how I'm doing mine. So this is how it looks. Here was our decrease. So I think it looks good. I don't think that you would notice that. I don't think it would really stand out on a sleeve, but throwing 2 of those into this round and then throwing 2 of them into the next round, I think we're gonna get a nice little cinching effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and complete this round, see how my cinching effect is, see how the length of my sleeve is. I will come back when I have gotten to the point where I'm going to start my cuff, and I'll show you how my cinching looks and tell you what I ended up doing. Okay guys, so I ended up doing that round that I was on and finishing it up, and I tried it on, and I am loving the way that this is fitting with the sleeves like this. Almost to the point where I was like, do I want to put cuffs on it? I actually like how it just kind of cinches in a little bit. So I ended up doing 3 rounds where I did 2 decreases on each round. So I started out with 15, and then I took 2 away. So then I had 13, and then now I have 11. And what I did was I just kind of staggered the decreases so that I wouldn't be decreasing at the same spot every time. And then knowing the number of clusters that would be in here, I just kind of tried to space them out about halfway. So like I said, if I had 15 stitches, I knew that 7 stitches in between my decreases would be about half. When I had 13, I knew about 6 stitches in between would be about half. So I just kind of made sure I wasn't going in the same spots for my decreases, but was trying to keep them about halfway apart, just so that I wasn't putting them really close together and ending up with a wonky shape. But you'll notice that this actually cinches nicely. I only decreased over 3 rounds. So, 1, 2, 3. I only decreased from here to here, not a very large area. And you'll notice it would be like this, which is not really all in frame. Let me try to bring you up a little bit so you can see that. It would be, had I not decreased, it would be like this. So hopefully you can see the decreasing. I'm going to go ahead and put the cuff on here following the video that I'm linking in the description to add my cuff, and then I will come back and show you guys what my sleeve looks like with my decreasing and my cuff. And like I said, keep in mind, if you want to decrease earlier, you don't want such a poofy sleeve, you just start the process of decreasing earlier, and you can do, you know, however many decreases you want per round to make it, you know, more or less subtle as you go. All right, and I have finished my cuff. So that is how mine looks. I cinched in, and then the way that she has you do your cuff, you actually do a row of single crochets where you do some decreasing, and then you start your cuff. And then as you're doing your cuff, you're also going to be decreasing just the way that you work the cuff up. And you can make the cuff however big you want it, or, you know, like I said, if you don't want one, whatever. And I did switch. I kept double stranding the sugar wheel cotton in the Pretties Please, but I added in, instead of the other yarn I was using, I started using this glowing purple multi by Yarn Bee, because this is one that I wanted to use for like some like special spots that I thought would look really pretty, and I think it looks like candy or something. And it looks so good with the sugar wheel. The sugar wheel is where the sparkle comes from, by the way, if you haven't watched my other videos about my cardigan. But if you're interested in all the yarns I'm using, I talked more about them in my last cardigan video. And also, like I said in that video, I was just going to be using a lot of different yarns. So it's kind of just, you know, a bunch of different yarns. And then here is what it looks like on. I made my cuff pretty long, and then with the idea, sorry, with the idea of this being able to be kind of slouchy down around it. So that is how my cuff looks, and I think it came out so pretty. I really like the colors. But yeah, so hopefully that was helpful as far as, you know, how I would do decreasing the sleeves. Since that was specifically something that was asked. Like I said, there's probably a lot of ways to do it, and that's just the way that I'm doing mine. But I'm going to keep working on my cardigan, and hopefully soon I will be able to have a... I am so sorry. Hopefully soon I will be able to have a finished cardigan video for you guys. I got to do the other sleeve. I'm going to do a trim, and then I'm actually thinking about adding pockets and a hood still. So it might be a little while, but it's a work in progress. I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday, and I will see you guys later. Bye, guys! Alright, guys, I just wanted to pop back on real quick and show you I added the info for the sleeves. So I ended up doing 6 inches extra in the sleeves, and then I wrote down that I had done the 3 rounds with the 2 decreases that I showed you guys. And then for my cuffs, I sized down 2 hook sizes, and I ended up doing about a 3-inch sleeve, which I will show you guys how that looks on, because I did it this way so that it kind of gives like the poofy sleeve kind of hangs down over it. So that's the reason that I added so much length there, and if you don't want that look, then obviously you won't add that much length. I have made other videos about my cardigan, but just some things that I foresee being possible questions. I'm using a 4-weight and a 3-weight yarn double stranded together, and I'm using an 8mm hook. So when I did my cuffs, I sized down to a 6mm hook. Yeah, I think that's the only question that I thought of that I thought people might have. But if you're interested in more details, like I said, just check out my other videos about my cardigan, and when I'm all finished with my cardigan, I will probably do a video like all about the whole thing. But for now, this is just an update, and mostly I was showing you guys how I was planning on doing decreasing my sleeves, since somebody had asked about that. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you thought it was helpful in the comments, and I hope you guys have a great day.